Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. Today I'm excited to do another Oris Aquis video. This one is the limited Carysfort Reef edition. Now full retail price as shown on the bracelet is $3,000, so it's a little bit more in price than your standard non-limited edition version of the Aquis, which comes in generally in the mid-2000s. The reason for the premium is not for the fact that it's limited and it has a really interesting blue color configuration here. This one is associated with a foundation that is working to restore and plant coral on the Carysfort Reef in Florida. And Oris, they're one of those brands that consistently work with various foundations in preservation, monitoring, and conservation efforts around the world in Russia, in Australia, in Florida. The Clean Ocean Project is another one that they've done. So that's something that I respect. I can get behind that, and I really applaud Oris for doing that. Now, I applaud Oris for a few other reasons too. They are an independent Swiss brand since 1904, headquartered in the German-speaking region of Switzerland, and they consistently come out with really powerful watches at the price points that they sell their product for. So the Aquis is really one of my favorites at around $2,000. I own the Lake Baikal. I love the Lake Baikal. I've owned the previous generation of the Aquis that had the beefier lugs and bracelet. So I am a fan of their originality, their contemporary designs, and then also when they go with the retro designs. The Diver 65 is a very comfortable and enjoyable dive watch. I own the Baiko, it was at the end of last year now. But yeah, sorry guys, I'm droning on. I'm a fan of Oris, I respect Oris, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to call out their negative elements. And so hopefully I can give this a really fair shake here in this presentation, and you'll get a good sense of what this watch is all about. So let's talk details. I'll place the retail price, some of the specifications and dimensions here on the screen so you guys can get a good sense of how this would compare to other watches in your own collections and your rotations. And I'll give you some wrist shots too. My wrists are 7.25 inches in circumference, and one of my favorite things is just how Oris is so talented at working with color and working with form. You get a great amount of light play, and it's almost distracting with how beautiful it is. Now this Carysfort Reef, it's interesting because you get very muted blues, and then in certain lights it is bright, vibrant teal, and you see the grain, the sunray grain. You notice the pop of orange in the ceramic bezel on the GMT hand, in that sunken ring just inset of those faceted, high polished applied markers that carries the guilloche texturing. This thing is so visually beautiful and changes in the light that you're in. If you look at the bezel, we have a bicolor bezel here. There's kind of a deep teal on the bottom from the 3 to the 9, and then on the top half it's black. Now I will be critical here. I see the design language is very much like the GMT Master 2, which I own. And so I look at this with the bicolor, with the font, with the dots, with emphasizing the even, and man, this looks like a Rolex bezel to me, and that's a bit disappointing. I know I place emphasis more on originality than the average watch fan, but that's something to be aware of. How's the quality? The quality is great. It does move in both directions. It has a pleasant action. It's 120 click when it comes to the action. And if you look, you can see the seam line. So it's apparent to me that Oris is using two different pieces of ceramic and then butting them together and placing them here in the bezel. So this is a true GMT bezel. It's not just a GMT index placed in a unidirectional dive bezel. It's not that. This does go in both directions. It does look very pleasant. I'm just a little disappointed in the design language there. Now let's go to the details of the dial and look at the applied markers. Look at the color changing effect of the blue, the sun ray, the crispness of the printing, the angular hands. This is great. Oris does a great job with their dial work, no doubt about it. Very legible at a glance. In low light, you really see the BGW9 and how potent it is and the nice level of longevity. I like the loomed pip in the bezel. That's handy, I believe. It's not necessary with the GMT watch, but I like its inclusion. The thing that I don't like here is the fact that the GMT hand is not loomed. Now, what am I gonna do in the dark? I mean, do I really need to know the secondary time zone in low light? Probably not, but the fact that it looks like it's loomed in natural light and then in low light it's not, that's disappointing to me as a watch fan. But apart from that, those are really the only negative elements that I see with the Carysfort Reef edition of the Aquis. I love the Aquis. I love the design language. I love the fit, the presence, the pop, the quality of this bracelet with the nice taper, the finishing here, how each link is fully articulating, screw links, push button to point clasp, with a dive extension, with micro adjustment holes, with 2 different half links. I really am a fan. I might be coming across as too harsh here in this video. I'm just trying to give this a real fair shake. Now let's turn the watch over and take a look at the Caseback, and this is where you'll notice the Carysfort Reef tie-in with the foundation. You can see in the very center of this medallion, 30,000 corals planted. That's a great number, and yeah, this is nice. I will say, when this watch is on wrist, you will not get any hot spots. I know sometimes when you get a very detailed Caseback, you can kind of feel that cut into your wrist, and that's not going to be the case here with this one. This looks very good and very comfortable. Now, if you notice, this is a limited edition, and Oris does individually engrave the production number of your unit in the Caseback. So the one in front of my camera is number 243 of 2000, which is on the beginning side of the production run. I always like seeing a low serial number personally. Now let's talk about the movement as we wrap up the video. This carries the Oris caliber 798, which essentially is a Sellita SW330-1 that has an Oris red rotor placed on it. Now, is it very accurate? No. I mean, Sellita, they're pretty conservative with their specs. So this is rated to about 20 seconds per day acceptable daily deviation. You're probably not going to get more than 10 seconds per day, but it's possible to get more than that. This is a base level Sellita, and that's always my big criticism of Oris is, you know what, if you're going to use Sellita, do some more regulation, tidy it up a little bit for us, especially if you're going to be charging, you know, 3,000 or 2,500 on a non-limited version. So, I mean, it's a good movement. It has good architecture. It's based off of the 2893 from ETA, but no, it's basically unadjusted, and that's a little bit hard to swallow as a watch fan, as a crazy watch guy, and spending this amount of money. Now, the movement itself, you can keep track of a secondary time zone within that sunken index there in the dial, and then if you utilize the rotating bezel, you can keep track of a third time zone. Now, the nice thing about the 2893 or the 330-1 or the 798 as Oris calls it is you have a quick set date in the first position of the crown in one direction, and then if you move the crown in the opposite direction, you can bump that GMT hand forward, so you can move it to keep track of that secondary time zone. It's not ideal for traveling. If you travel frequently, I would suggest a true GMT movement like you would find in the GMT Master 2 from Rolex, but this is certainly very capable. The quick set date is nice, and in honesty, the extra 5 seconds it takes you to make almost a full revolution if you're just going backward by a couple hours is not a huge deal. So I know I probably come across as a bit harsh here in this video. I probably did that a little bit on purpose because I love Oris so much, and I get accused of being biased, right, in my video presentations, and maybe I am a little bit, but this certainly has some negative elements, but on the whole, it is a very beautiful, worthy addition to the lineup. Great cause behind it, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy this watch. So if you're shopping it, if you're interested, if you want to get a quote, definitely reach out to my friend Nick of Exquisite Timepieces. They are the Oris authorized dealer that lent this one in for presentation. I purchased my Lake Baikal from them. I purchased my Seamaster, my Speedmaster. I've got future purchases planned with them. Great authorized dealer. He'll definitely take care of you if you're interested. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if I missed anything. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try and help. Thanks again. See you in the next video.